Yo, what is up, everybody? Resco back again with our final story from the small collection called Hours of Darkness, written by Old School Horror. Remember to check out the links in the description, show love to the author, like, comment, and subscribe. Final story, Darkness. The basement was dark and cold. It had been this way since he brought me here. The only time light fell upon my eyes was when he came down to me with a small candle in his hand. His short, round shadow was not yet being cast on the moldy walls. But soon the time will come he will visit me again. Yes, he came every day. Some days he came down 2 times, filthy bastard. I knew him. Actually, I knew him since I was a child. I never thought that the fragile little boy could turn into the monster he is now. I could hear him scream sometimes upstairs. Sometimes he was screaming for his dead mother. He died 6 months ago. Sometimes he was screaming and asking God something, but I couldn't hear exactly what. He didn't speak to me, but once. He tried talking to me after he abducted me, but it all ended in a terrible stutter. Aside from his lacking physique, his stutter really didn't help him. He was stuttering since forever. I was waiting for him to come down. I knew what was coming. The little prick had a crush on me for years. He didn't tell me, but I felt it. The way he was looking at me, his wide eyes staring, and his drooling mouth betrayed him. Too bad I paid little attention to the signs. Look at me now. I felt a tingling on my left leg. Then I jumped in fright. Something ran away, squeaking. Must have been a lonely rat. Lonely, just like me. But at least it wasn't chained. I heard footsteps on the stairs, which led down here. Instinctively, I squeezed my legs together. I shivered. The chains, which were binding me to the wall, rattled. I hated that sound. He then opened the basement door, and some light came to chase away the darkness. It felt good to see the light, but it was terrifying to see him. A little fresh air filled the basement. It was welcome. The dead bodies, which he discarded in the adjacent basement room, were stinking the place up. I've got used to the smell after some time. The little window, which was open, was not enough to let fresh air in. It opened to his yard, so it didn't matter if I screamed or not. Nobody would have heard me. Oh God, let it be quick, I prayed. I hated his stinking breath. If I ever got out of here, I will kill him. Swear it. This is what whirled through my mind. The last time he had me, I closed my eyes and tried to lock reality out of my mind. I almost succeeded, but then I felt something interesting. I remembered a warm summer afternoon when I was walking home from a friend's house. Passing by an old abandoned house, I heard some kids calling me. I was 10 and naive, so I went towards the house. Knowing one of them gave me the false assurance that everything would be alright. They were many years older than me. They offered me candy, which I accepted. Then the situation began quickly turning on its head. The older kids began picking on me. Then they began touching me. When I tried to run, they blocked my path and wouldn't let me out. This was when I panicked. Then I heard the voices. It was almost dark outside in the house, and there was only little light coming from the street lamps. The windows have been boarded up long time ago. Nobody wanted to move inside after they learned that 5 people had died in suspicious circumstances. It was our local haunted house. The voices came from everywhere around me. It seemed that only I could hear them. Ever so faint, but they were there, permeating the dark hall and my head. I heard them clearly then. They told me to use them. The pain and anguish in their voices were immense, and I was afraid. When one of the boys grabbed me in order to throw me to the ground, that was when I first saw the shadows moving. They've had a vague human shape. There were 5 of them. The other kids noticed them too, got scared out of their heads, and they ran like hell from that house, and I walked away unscathed. Again, I felt something like I felt back then. It wasn't yet powerful enough, but it gave me hope. Honestly, I didn't know what to think. I was just waiting for the sick fuck to finish and limp back to his dead mother's room. When it happened many years ago, I thought that they were ghosts of the dead people who had died in this house. Could it be that this house haunted too? After he finished, I spat on the ground in disgust. He went up, then I heard him scream and thrash around up there. But I heard something else too. Whispers from the darkness of the adjacent room. Aren't they all dead? Well, they should be. I sat there and listened carefully. The whispers were persistent, faint, but echoing through my mind, in between the 4 cold walls. Use us, they said. Only you have the gift to hear us. I closed my eyes and tried to feel them, to let them come in contact with me. When I opened my eyes, I saw a faint movement in the dark. It looked as if the darkness had come to life. A strange blackness was coming out of the next room, from under the door. Soon, human-like shapes were standing before me, as I stared at them in amazement. One of them floated closer until it was inches away from my face. The deep, whirling darkness in its black eyes seemed to be bottomless. My jaw dropped when I saw that it very much resembled me. Yes, it was me, but how could this be? I'm not dead. I stared into the abyss of its eyes for a long time. Then I understood where they came from. We waited for some time. We waited for him. The shadows undid my shackles, and they ripped them out of the wall. Now I liked the sound of lifeless iron rattling on the stone floor. When he came again, I was ready. He put down the candle and was approaching me. But then the door closed behind him. He wanted to grab the candle, but a shadowy hand reached out from the penumbra and suffocated the flame. I heard his gasp of fright, and it delighted me. "Now you're mine," I whispered, and I saw his outline drawing back. The chain was clanging on the floor as I was dragging it towards him. The voices spoke from the darkness. They were speaking to him. They were asking in anguishing voice why he had killed them. Why had he condemned them to the dark? He began pleading, stuttering with his stinking mouth. But the darkness was relentless. I closed in on him, kicked him between his legs, and then hit him several times with the heavy chain. It made soft, muffled sounds as it hit flesh, bone, and clothes. He screamed and pleaded for mercy, but mercy did not belong in places like this. Life was barely holding on to him when I got behind him and wrapped the chain around his neck. I squeezed with all my might, and after his body became limp, I squeezed a little more just to be sure. When he became one with the darkness, I saw the shadows gather around him and drag his soul to hell. I saw the door opening. Then a yellowish white light filled the basement. I squinted, and after several seconds of waiting, I walked out into the light. The door closed behind me, trapping the darkness inside forever. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our story.